Good question. My friend Greg McKay uh, was had ownership of the property with a partner of his, and I remembered it as iconic from the '80s. For me, it was interesting because it was like The Blob. Both of these are an important part of pop culture. The original Witchboard started the whole trend of Ouija board movies back in the day. And it was also a young cast that I admired. I like what Tenney did originally, but there was plenty of room for a deeper story and wilder ideas. A little bit like what I did with both The Blob and with Elm Street 3 with the series. We took Elm Street in a new direction with Dream Warriors, um, off of the brilliant original. Um, so I look, I wouldn't remake something uh, literally. It's reimagining and reinventing, and Witchboard was a perfect platform for us. Also, I'd been doing notes on pendulum boards, which are a real thing, go back all the way back to ancient Egypt, that are sort of the predecessor of Ouija boards, but it was for spell casting and their astrological signs. It's a very imaginative form of the occult, and I was fascinated with it. And I thought, well, what if I used a pendulum board and really got into the history of witchcraft in Witchboard? And I finally said, well, that's it. That if Greg would allow me to take it in that direction, he was very happy to do so. Well, I'm comfortable doing that because, as I said, I've done it. I've done it before, and we still have fans of the Blob. I think my first films seemed to age well because of practical effects, and I made sure to build in plenty of practical effects in this film. Honestly, I'm true to the resonance of the original. We honor the original. I'm happy that Kevin Tenney, who directed the original, recently saw the film and was very, very happy about it. I didn't know if he'd be upset. It's a new story in many ways with new characters, but he got it. He understood the connection, and he's a fan. So I'm satisfied that we honored the original properly. That was kind of the job. How can I bring something new to the horror audiences? And almost more importantly to me personally, how can I top my own work for my fans? I didn't want to go back to horror unless I had something I was confident I could make very explosive. Yeah, I mean, we go deeper into the world of the occult. We're based on true history of witches. So as wild as these things are, after you see the film, you might research. There really was a village in the 1700s in Loire, France, where there was a massacre that was incredibly mysterious and might have been associated with witchcraft. Pendulum boards are a real thing, were a real thing. And the way they're used in this film is fairly accurate, although it's a supernatural movie and we extend it to the nth degree. We go wild with the premise. Uh, so you look, I mean, again, if you're a fan of my work, it's deeper, it's bigger practical effects. It's a wonderful young cast, which my fans know I love to do. And it's Jamie Campbell Bower and Madison Eisman. These are wonderful. Jamie's from Stranger Things. He was the first person we cast because he was so electrifying in the previous season of Stranger Things, and is wonderful in this picture. Madison Eisman is a movie star. She's great and courageous young actress. I say courageous because she did all my practical effects and was okay for take two. Um, those are the things you'll see in Witchboard. I come from theater, so my relationship with my cast is sort of my number one thing. And they're all different. They all bring something special. And I tend to polish dialogue as we do our first readings with the cast, so it's really even tailored for them a bit more. This was one of those movies. It doesn't always happen, but every movie is like this dysfunctional family for 3 months. We're relying on each other. We're talking about very intimate personal things, at least I do with the cast on what they're referring to for the characters in the scenes. So you get very close. And in this cast was one of the most fun since The Mask. They're a very talented young group, and they all hung together, except for Jamie, who's a real artist. And I would find while everyone else was out drinking, he would be alone going to the opera in Madison, sorry, in Montreal, where we filmed the piece. So it was an eclectic and very, very interesting cast. So it was quite fun. I think the bounce I'm getting off the early screenings is people find it very entertaining. So that's great as long as it's scary. And I've heard, I hear that primarily. But people are complimenting us on the depth of the story and the characters, which really goes back to my early horror films. I think uh, Dream Warriors, the Elm Street 3 film, I still get asked to interview on that. It's still popular. I think practical effects age very well, but more importantly, when you care about the characters, the films age very well. So I think we've done the same thing in Witchboard that I did in Elm Street 3, where the characters run deep. They're you relate to them as people you would probably enjoy having as your own friends, except for some of the more dangerous characters, which you would not. But that's what I think they'll take away from the film. I would never use a Ouija board. And the only pendulum board I've used is the one I've designed personally, because I've researched these things. We live in a spiritual world. People who don't believe that they'll get their wake-up call one day. Um, I've had it at different points in my life, and I recommend the good spiritual side. This is a cautionary tale about the glamour of the darker spiritual side. And we try to use Wicca responsibly because there are people who seriously believe in that kind of earth magic. So we do show that there are some white witches in the story, but it can be a gateway to darker side. So it's a cautionary tale in that respect.